instead what I think we can do is, there we go, yeah, so this actually. So after you've done your Qualtrics study, the cool thing will be you will have your first survey available that you could run. Theoretically, you could run on MTurk. I'm saying theoretically because you'll need IRB approval for that too. But to actually run a study on MTurk, it's very easy to do, but it certainly takes a bit of setup. So what I recommend is, if you're interested to actually take what you learn here and run it on MTurk, I would set up an account. We can do it now, and because there's a few practical steps to do. If you haven't used MTurk or have not heard of it yet, it's actually one of the primary tools that we use to gather data. So here's the broad picture. Amazon Mechanical Turk, run by Amazon, surprisingly, is now called MTurk by most people, is actually a labor market, and it started as such. So say you came home from your holiday, and you have 5,000 pictures of you playing in the sand with your dog, and you don't have time to actually label all of them, me and dog, and wife, and other things. I'm not kidding, that is actually some of the things that people do. They put them on MTurk, and they say, I don't want to do it, but I'll pay you 5 cents, and you do 10 of them, please. And so it started off as a very, some people are happy to do these small tasks, they don't take much time, a bit of money. Some people do it because they're interested in the variety of tasks they can do. But it turns out, researchers found that place, and they started putting experiments up there, randomized experiments, surveys, and other things. And now there's a huge population of MTurkers who are very willing to do our experiments at much larger scale and much faster than we could do at Harvard, for instance, where we have a very limited pool. And it's relatively cheap because most of our tasks don't take very long. So the rule is about $1 for 10 minutes. On average, I would say aiming for $6 to $7 an hour is what we pay them. So we're going to somehow work out, obviously, so you don't need to spend very much money on this. In fact, you should not spend any money if you're not interested, obviously. But I'm just saying, if you want to test what you're doing here, it'll cost you a few bucks to just see how to actually gather data. And if you're planning on taking this, what you learn here, into the next semester for the pitch competition, then this will be really handy. This will help you to actually start learning how to design experiments, run them, and analyze data, and then eventually run, after a few pilot studies, run a big study with big samples. Yes, please.
Just really quick, MTurk is like self-selecting, but wouldn't you be getting very specific types of people?
Yeah. What kind of people do you think will we get?
People where like the currency, American currency, is very valuable, or people who have a lot of free time in the middle of the day or whatever.
Yeah. Great concern, actually. Like, it took many years for people to actually do research on this and ask how weird MTurk is, basically, that as you say, they have time to sit around and do tasks for us like that for a cheap price. So it turns out, a couple of interesting notes about it. First of all, they are no stranger and weirder than college pools, subject pools, because if you think about it, most of our human behavior studies until then have relied on Harvard undergrads coming in on a Wednesday afternoon just for fun for half an hour and play some economic game, which is great for us, but it's really questionable if that is the population that generalizes to everyone. Yeah. It's also very self-selected. This actually, in some respects, is more representative than the subject pool you would find in a university. Overall, I would say it's not representative of the US, population. That said, I think what we have learned is actually that sometimes you shouldn't run MTurk studies. Like, for instance, in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., I would somehow question if you're going to get the right results that you might be interested in. But a lot of people use this because it's easy and fast to do. Okay. Sometimes during work, I guess they shouldn't, but I assume some of them just do it on the side. Mostly actually after 5 o'clock, you see a big spike for people who seem to come home and are interested in seeing what's out there. But your point about selection is hugely important for anything you do. So I run a lot of studies both in the lab, MTurk, and in the field, and I would be very hesitant to make policy recommendations based on just an MTurk study. But it's a great way to test some ideas that we have, to then go back to partners we have in government and say, look, it seems like people respond to this kind of message better than another one. We should probably think about, if we were to run a big trial with 1 million people, let's at least think about it beforehand and have some people look at it that are not us. Yeah. Okay, with that, I think I would recommend take a few minutes maybe to go to MTurk if you're interested, and sign up now if you want to. You can also do it at home. I recommend doing it now because I know you're all very busy. And then we're going to spend 2 more minutes wrapping up, and we're going to continue next time. you have signed up, that's great. If you have any questions afterwards, how to use it, we can talk about that too. Obviously, before you run your first experiment, I come back to this very often simply because I know it's important. If you want to run experiments as part of this class or any other research activity at Harvard, you will have to do the city training, which is an ethics training that everyone has to do at any university. Harvard basically pays for this one, so if you go to this website, I would really recommend do it in your own time. It takes about an hour, I think, so it's not great that it takes that much time, but it will pay off because then you basically can run these experiments at any university that you're going to go to afterwards. So please do that if you plan on using any sort of lab pool here at Harvard or MTurk, or field study for that matter. You will need it in all of these cases. Please complete this training before next time.
It shows, it records our name or something.
Yes, so you're going to get a certificate. So this is not run by Harvard. This is actually a national service, and all researchers have to do it. So you're going to get a certificate, and you can carry it with you, not physically, but they will have you in one file. So that should be pretty easy. Okay, so what we've covered today are a lot of randomization. You've really heard a lot about randomization today. I hope it was useful as well, not just control group, treatment group, and it kind of goes out, comes in one side and goes out the other. But hopefully, it will give you an appreciation for some of the complexities that are involved with experimental design and how to choose the right level of randomization and how to go about practically doing it to make sure that you can also do it in the kind of experiments we run here at Harvard. We're going to next time talk about Qualtrics, the survey platform, and how to set up randomization there. It doesn't take too long, but I think it's cool to do together and then think about how to implement these different steps in randomization. The simple randomization, block or cluster randomization, and the stratified one. And then lastly, please complete the city training. If you're excited for a bit more behavioral insights and seeing how this is done in the real world, randomizing, using behavioral economics and social psych, then I would definitely recommend that you come to see our guest speakers. Kate Glazebrook and Michael Sanders are from the Nudge unit, from the Behavioral Insights team. They do absolutely cool work. They're actually flying in from the UK to give a few talks here at Harvard. We convinced them to come here as well, so they're going to be giving a talk in Darman room on Monday. There will be lunch, I believe. I put it up on the slide. There will be lunch, good, excellent. So it's another incentive, but they're great guys. They will talk about some of the work they're doing around the world now to make the world a bit of a better place using these experiments. The next workshops are coming up as well. We might change the place and maybe also the date for the next one because we realize I think it's before holiday weekend. We kind of want to make sure we don't clash there. So it says on the sheet that you received October 7th, we might push it back to the middle of the next week. So you'll get an email about that. And then the one afterwards is going to be on a Saturday. And that's, as I said, these hands-on workshops where we would like you to, if you want to come in, bring either a data set or a question, a research project you're thinking about. And we're also going to have some material for you to work out. We're going to have some Thai food. It's going to be good fun. So hopefully, if you're interested, mark your calendar for that as well.
Do we know the time?
Sorry, the time for this?
12 till 2 on Saturday.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. And if you're not yet on our mailing list, then please find Jabel over there and put your name down. And other than that, I'd say thank you very much again for coming. It's exciting that you're here and that you're so interactive and being part of this. And if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me afterwards. Thanks.